Welcome back to another clay video. Today, we are going to create the Music Box World Map from Wario Land 3. Whenever I have leftover clay in a project, I always save it for the next one, but sometimes your clay gets very dirty with other colors, or you end up mixing a very gross color that will never be used for anything else, and that is where the waste clay pile comes from. And it's really useful for projects like this that are very big, and instead of using a couple packs of brand new fresh clay, you can use this junk clay that otherwise would have never been used for anything else. Some of you have been asking quite a lot in the comments for this map, so finally, here we are. This map took way more clay than I expected, but I only had one size of the plastic dome, so I kind of had to create it big to match that size. This part took me way longer than it should have to realize that a diamond is just a square tilted to the side. After nearly 2 hours of trying to cut out diamonds, I figured out that you can just make a square and turn it. So I feel pretty dumb for that one, but at least we still figured out a way to make this work. We need to get some of these diamonds also on the back side. And now, we are ready to get baked. I wanted to bake this first layer because I thought I would probably end up deforming it when I was putting in the blue clay. So this will be for the water inside of the map. And this took way more clay than I expected, just like the rest of the map. This water took over 3 full blocks of clay. Now for the dome, I actually used the leftover snow globe. I bought 3 of these with the intent of making 3 snow globes, but I only ever made 2, and it's not winter anymore, so it kind of just sat around, and it ended up being the perfect dome for this map. I should have measured it first, I kind of just guessed how big it was going to be, so we have to add this extra yellow rim. But now the dome fits on it very nicely right up to the water. So, we are ready to get baked. I baked it a second time because I wanted to save the indent of where the dome is going to be. And you can bake clay as many times as you want, as long as you don't bake it too hot or too long. I don't think you really get any damage from baking it multiple times. Now we need to add some grass onto it, and usually I'm using a paper cutout so we can use that to shape the grass and the island, but for this one I just kind of had to go with what I think the island looks like. So it was a lot different creating this map. Now that our island is on the map, we need to cut out where this waterfall is going to be. And I didn't notice at first, but it actually indents into the island a little bit. We have this little beach over here. For the plants on the beach, I'm trying out this new technique I thought of, and I think that it matches plants that are on the beach pretty good. Usually there's seaweed and different foliage that sort of looks like this, looks sort of dry. So I think this pattern looks pretty fitting to the beach. Now we have this little bridge going over the waterfall area, and I think it's pretty weird that the waterfall just sort of stops right there. It doesn't go into a river, but maybe it's an underground river and it comes out the side of the island. This will be the big volcano in the middle of the island. This is just like the little mountains we created on Yoshi's Island. Now let's create the hole in the top. And we can get this volcano onto the map. We have these little houses to create, and these are very simple, but they look pretty cool. We need this orange for the roof. And the reason these blocks I'm using are so squared is because I cut them straight off of the block of clay rather than forming out some squares with my hand. The roof of them looks just like a crown. And we can flip those down flat and we'll create the doors and the windows. We have 2 windows, one on each side of the house. And now let's get our houses onto the map. Now we will create this sort of cave-looking building. In the map in the game, it's actually grassy, but in the overview map of the music box, it looks like this. There's a lot of other details that don't look the same as they do in the game. I actually haven't even played this Wario game, so I'm not really sure about too many of these details. I'm very familiar with the older Wario Land games, but since I've never played this one, it's sort of a mystery to me what the different details are. I bake these only for 5 minutes, so they're still soft enough you can cut through them very easily, but they're hard enough that they won't lose any of their details. So here is our jagged boulder, and let's stick that on the map, and there's also one on top of the volcano. This is the temple we can see right in front of the volcano. I used a very old, dried up block of clay for this, and I think that it got some really cool textures cutting it right out of the block. Sort of gives it the details of an old ancient temple without having to do any detailing work to it. We have this red gem in the front, or maybe it's a stained glass window, and we have some pillars on the side. We need a little bit of gray on top of those. And our temple is complete, so let's place that onto the map. Using some darker green clay, we will create some more plants around the island. And I really like how the beach plants turned out, so I'm going to create all of these plants to look the same way. It's a really cool texturing technique, and I don't think it would look very good on every single map, but for this one, it looks pretty cool. This big lumpy one is going to be right behind the volcano. Let's get that into place, and I tried not to touch it too much so I didn't ruin any of the grass details. We can finally create the water in the waterfall that we cut out at the beginning of the map. We can put the bridge back into place. And I'm going to use my waterfall blending technique where I take this lighter blue and sort of mix it and fold it with the darker blue on the water, and it gets this really cool swirled effect like the waterfall is crashing down into the ocean. So here is our waterfall, and let's push this to the side and work on our final detail. We have some nice shiny gold clay, and this will be for the turning handle in the back of the music box. You can see these on almost every type of music box. You wind it up and then that's how the music starts playing. Let's get everything ready onto the baking tray, and we are ready to get baked. After baking, we can cut the end of this off. And now we can add the dome on top. And here it is, the Music Box World from Wario Land 3. I hope you all enjoyed the creation of the Music Box World. It was super fun to create it inside of this dome, and if you want to see the rest of the Wario Land series maps I've created, you can check out a playlist up here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.